Hey, he's Enzo.
And she's Claire.
And this is Too Long for a Voice Note, episode number 9.
9.
Hello, Enzo.
Hello, Claire. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Excited. It's
Yeah.
cool. It's third episode in a row. We managed to have episode weekly in this year. So exciting.
So I think we've got a few things from previous episodes to kind of catch up on. We just wanted to shed a bit of light on that, so a slightly different little introduction, but we'll keep it short for you guys and get on to our topics of the week.
Yeah, what's been happening?
Yeah.
Well, about Britney, it's been like the documentary that we've been sharing about documentary on our social medias, aka Instagram.
Just
it's
Instagram,
social medias.
Exactly.
Instagram.
But we spoke about the Free Britney movement in episode number 3.
Number 3,
so,
yeah.
I'm going to leave a link to the cards in it now, so please check that out after you've listened to this episode, obviously.
Yeah. It's been interesting. It's like that this documentary was out, I think, last weekend, and it was basically what we spoke about on the episode, but obviously it's like very visually and there's a little bit more details. So, everything is fucked up and crazy and how media treat her and all of that. So, that's out. And I think it's good for her. Yeah. And I think it's actually already helping. I heard like this week, his father, if I understand properly, I think this new lawyer, that she's a woman, by the way, she take out half of his power, of the father's power, on Britney's money on stuff. So it looks like Britney recover half of the power on her finances or something like that. And it just happened after the documentary as well. Wow. And I think another lawyer, she a man or woman, I don't remember, they are out of the case. Things are moving around.
Good.
So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. Also, her boyfriend, he went on social media. You saw it. Yeah. He was like, like Britney's father, he's a dick.
Yeah, exactly. He's come forward and said about it. But I think it's encouraging people to have like different conversations about how the media treats women, how the media treats women in the music industry. So it only seems to be a positive thing. And I think like I've had people messaging me saying like, oh, did you know about this? And obviously direct them back to a podcast episode if you share it. But I mean, good for Britney, and hopefully she'll get, things will turn around for her.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think she can speak about anything, because in this conservationship.
Yeah.
Conservationship? Is the word?
Yeah,
conservationship?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Conservationship.
On that thing, she's not even allowed to talk about this issue. So
didn't somebody say she's been doing code messages or something in her Instagram post?
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But the boyfriend just was like, I'm tired of this. Yeah. He's a dick. He's control. I'm tired of him controlling our life. It has to be over. So it's crazy.
And I also saw that Justin Timberlake has come forward and done a public apology to Britney and also Janet Jackson, because there was that whole drama with the Super Bowl a few years ago. So a little bit late, but
I think I didn't like that apology. I think it's such a
you're pressured into it.
Yeah, I hate when they have to do this kind of things because it's so forced. Yeah, and I think I would be positive if it was at least a video of him, like a home video of him, maybe like an Instagram live, like you can see like his words and he's talking about this, blah blah. He apologized, he didn't understand, but this kind of things probably was written by his PR or 100%. Something. It's just so like fake and so like I'm doing it because I don't want nobody cuts my head out of this. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
I don't have a lot of time for Justin Timberlake actually. I really don't. I mean, but whatever, that's a topic for another day. But good for Britney. And then I think the other thing that we wanted to bring up was, obviously, hopefully you've listened to last week's episode number 8. We talk about the Golden Globe controversy with I May Destroy You. And we were talking about how apparently, one of our listeners told us that there's been a lot of hate towards Lily Collins, who is the lead actress on Emily in Paris. And that's the show that got nominated, and people are comparing it to I May Destroy You and saying how awful it is that got nominated and I May Destroy You and Michaela Cole didn't get nominated. So we just wanted to touch a little bit on that today, just obviously because we spoke about that last week. So we thought it would be a good point to kind of bring that up.
Yeah, I think it's crazy how internet, because at the end of the day it's the internet, they're again, pairing women against women, and it's oh, Lily Collins, fuck you. It's not her fault because she got nominated, and it's not, it's it's not her against the other one. The problem is all the machine behind this, the whole industry, how things are managed in the industry. That's the problem, not the actress. She didn't ask to get nominated. I don't think she paid from her money. Even if the nomination were bought by the company, it probably wasn't her. She doesn't have enough money probably to do. That's like power, company, production, people in power. It doesn't work like that.
It's true.
It's not like I'm gonna pay for get a nomination. No. So it's a bit sad that they were like basically crucifying her because she got a nomination or something.
Like
it's
trolling her and everything like that. And of course, like. Yeah, because I think I just want to clarify as well, because I think I was quite harsh on Emily in Paris.
I hate that show! Fuck Paris! Fuck Emily!
Fuck the girls! Like, I just want to clarify that even though that might not be my kind of taste, obviously no shade is being thrown to Lily Collins.
Yeah, of course. It's not about
She's
that.
just a female actress doing her best.
Whatever,
don't blame her for taking that role. Don't blame her for getting nominated at all. So yeah, I just, of course, it's that classic thing of like we were discussing, sort of pick on the woman, pick on the. It's just like it always
Typical.
has to be like that, and it's sort
always
of
has to be like that.
It's always that kind of argument of like, yeah, people are obviously hating on Lily Collins rather than questioning like
why,
yeah, or who makes the nominations, etc. So yeah, but long story short, we are enjoying. I May Destroy You.
Yeah.
We throw no shade to Lily Collins. I throw a bit of
Or
shade
Paris.
towards Emily Paris.
or fashion.
No hate to French people. Obviously, please don't come at me next week for that. But anyway, I think it's probably time. So who wants to go first this week?
I can go first.
So it's time for
Enzo's secret topic of the week. So Claire, catching up with the kids.
Okay.
I had this topic that I just saw it. Just saw this post on ID magazine.
Mm-hmm. Very arty.
Very
alternative.
Yeah, like on my Instagram, it's not true. My Instagram is a bit of everything. It's like my Instagram is just art and design and like intense. No, but yeah, ID magazine is really cool.
It's really, really good.
And they're very trendy, always like on top of everything that's happening. And this is thing called like vanilla shaming, and it came from something that happened on TikTok. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's a whole thing. TikTok is like a different world.
Yeah.
Especially, I think it's not like we're old, but I think it's not as our generation type of
it's definitely not. No,
we're Instagram more kind of thing. TikTok is like a different thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things going on, fun stuff, educational stuff, crazy stuff, dark stuff as well, which is part where this comes from. Everything starts with this hashtag called like Freak Talk, which is basically people talking about their like freaky practices on sex, on when
kink.
It's kind of like different kinks. Yeah. But I think the problem was like it got out of hand because it was really like it was like a bit like abusive at some point. So there were these type of videos of like maybe like a man like choking the girlfriend, but it was maybe too much. It was a bit sometimes touching like in domestic violence. It was getting a bit out of hand, the videos that weren't shown there. So and the whole thing started because there were people like basically saying like, if you are not into this type of things, you are too vanilla and you are like boring and you're blah blah blah. So that's why I come the term of vanilla shaming. So the problem is that this is for kids, for young people. So it was like, oh, you need to be into kinks or like hard sets or like slapping or whatever. If not, you're not cool at all. Yeah. So I started the whole thing with vanilla shaming, and it's a very like. I think for what I read in the article, there were a lot of like kind of creepy videos that were really like maybe too aggressive, not really like, maybe it wasn't even under consent. It was too much. So yeah, it was like a really TikTok new generation things. And there were all young, really, really young people there, which probably they don't know. Still, they're discovering their sexuality. Sexuality.
We know what you're trying to say.
I'm sorry, guys. I need more coffee. So yeah, it's tricky because of that. Because like kids feels forced, like, oh, I need to get choked by my boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. If I want to be cool. If not, I'm vanilla and I'm not cool. So
it
get a bit out of hand.
I think.
What do you think about it? It's like,
I had heard about this.
Yeah.
But I think and I think there's been a new thing that's developed called kink talk, right?
Yeah.
That's basically people trying to share information about different kinks and how to kind of practice kink safely.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe social media platforms are not the best way to spread this information. Maybe this is a big problem, but I think this is a double-edged sword, because I think that social media can be really good for getting a lot of information out to a wide audience, obviously, and like you'll get access to somebody in like LA and you're sitting in London, and like that's great. But also it's so easy to like misread situations, and like from my understanding of like kink, dominant and submissive sexual relationships, or not even sexual, like it doesn't always have to be sexual, like my understanding is of different kinks as well, is that like it's extremely communicated about. It's like you over communicate about everything, and then like those guidelines are drawn, you know,
so you know where to stand.
Exactly.
What's like my limit, or
Exactly.
what's your limit, kind of thing.
So
nobody should feel forced to anything.
Exactly. Like it's very consensual, and I think there was like a thing that I saw that was going around about this, where they were saying like, oh, you know, like if it's a punishment, then if you have to ask, then it's not like a real punishment. And then somebody was saying like, well, you could, because I actually saw a documentary about, I think I mentioned it to you a while ago, I think it was on Vice, and it was about people, do you remember? I think I sent it to you. It was about people working with their triggers and traumas through a kink-based relationship, and it was super interesting. I believe like one of the guy had like an incredibly traumatic, it was interesting, like he had been abused by a woman, and she'd had like threatened to commit suicide.
Wow.
And then I think it got really, really bad, and to the point where she rang him and said like, if you don't come here right now, then I'm going to kill myself. And he said no, and she actually cut her throat on the phone to him.
What?
And so
but she killed herself.
She killed herself.
Oh.
Yep, she killed herself.
Jesus Christ, that's horrible.
This was like a few years ago, and then the girl had been like repeatedly sexually abused, and like God knows how these people found each other. It's sort of like fate somehow. But they have this relationship where they actually work with cutting skin. But I'm probably not doing it justice, but it's in a really safe, consensual way. And this is kind of my point. Like, and they're probably like mid to late 30s as well.
Yeah, they're like you are all enough and it's your choice and you're not hurting anybody because both want to be there.
And they're both clearly in therapy, or like, and they're also in like a loving and committed relationship. Not to say that you shouldn't explore with kink in a not loving. It doesn't have to be loving at all. It doesn't need to be healing. But it's so complex and so like delicate that I worry about this kind of thing, especially like TikTok. Okay, like this again, people, I'm running the risk of making myself sound old here, but like it's so disposable.
You are, Claire. You don't sound.
You're a year older than me. Excuse me.
You are who you are. You need to embrace it.
I'm going to preserve myself like a sauerkraut. For years, I'm just gonna be like this little sauerkraut.
You need to admit that you don't have TikTok and you don't. It's okay. It's okay.
But when I've seen it, it's just so like. Oof.
The aesthetics are a bit too much on TikTok. Yeah. A bit like. It's a very disposable content.
The aesthetics
stress
are like,
it stress me out. Like the fonts, the colors, but
and it's very short as well. Like for people that don't know, like it's it's only 30 seconds kind of maximum. It's more quick like videos. Snapchat than not once it's gone, it's gone. It's not like that.
No, it stays on your profile.
But it's very short content as opposed to like Instagram, which has like IGTV, like longer videos, the reels, which are 15 seconds. You've got your pictures as well, which is meant to be the primary thing, and you've got like all these different things.
Yeah. I found this. TikTok overall is really complicated. I think it has it has really good size of it, and a lot of it can be a lot of waste. A lot of it could be a lot of entertainment, which is fine. If people wants to dance to a song, do it. You're not hurting anybody. But the situation here with this thing is TikTok is mostly for really young people, or like 20s, early 20s still. And this topic is it's a sexual educational kind of topic. It's very like I think the issue with this vanilla shaming is like kids are feeling like if they're not into this, they're not okay, or they're not,
something wrong with them.
Something's wrong with them, and that's the issue. Like, if I don't get slapped and I don't get like punished by my partner, I'm not doing okay. I'm not cool enough. I'm not, all these kind of things. And when you are that age, you're so like, like fragile, and like everything can really hurt you in a really bad way, and that's a problem. That's why like this got out of hand that much that the hashtag was blocked from TikTok, and they create the second hashtag. I mean, it's still out. It's Freak Talk, no, the one that was the other way around.
I think it's the other way around. Like Freak Talk got blocked, and then they were doing the shaming, and King Talk is like the educational one.
Yeah. So there's a lot of videos there, like people like, oh, if you want to like express your kink, is this, exactly. Learn this, do that, blah blah blah. There's also funny videos around it, like couples doing like funny stuff, but it's more about like, I feel it's weird. I mean, if you had a kid, how you handle this, like just. You won't have to. That's a problem with social media. Also, we always discuss, and like how it's good because everything is there, but at the same time, it has no control. And as you say, not everybody should be allowed to talk about these things because when you are young, even if you're not young, maybe even our age, when we are on, in our case, I don't know, Instagram, and we see a video of somebody giving you 5 tips out of something, you may pay attention to it, and you're like, oh, this seems good, but do we really know that those tips are okay, if it's like approved, if that makes any sense? Maybe it's fake, or maybe it's but I think social media kind of turns into this thing that if we see somebody on video saying like something and it looks convincing, it looks like you don't know what they're saying, we're like, okay, this is it, and it may be not. And when you apply this to sex and blah 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 and kids, it can go really out of hand and really, really delicate as it's happening.
I think it's kind of, I mean, when you were saying that, it's just, for me, a different form of like cyberbullying, isn't it? Kind of saying vanilla shaming, or saying that you're boring if you're not wanting to be, if you don't have a kink, or you're boring if you don't want to be slapped, and etc. And it's so dangerous for a young person, because if somebody was saying that to us, we're like 30 and 31, you just be like, shut up.
Thank you for clarifying. I have 1 year more than you, Claire.
He's 31 in 2 weeks, I believe, actually, because he's mid-December, I'm late November.
I don't think nobody cares, but thank you for pointing that out. People know it. Sometimes if you think like, why Enzo it's so wise, or like maybe wiser, it's because of that. It's that year's difference.
When we're back on video, if you just see some fine lines cropping up on his face,
I will go buttocks.
It will be that. It's that year and 2 weeks. No, don't worry. But let's give him a break, everyone. But yes, as I said, we are 30 and 31. But like, if somebody said that to us, so you're so boring for not wanting to be slapped, you'd be like, shut up. What is it to you? Like, what is it to you? But we are pretty formed in our sexuality. Again, we've touched on this in a previous episode with body image. Like, we can recognize, sometimes it is hard on Instagram, and you can be like, oh my god, that person has like such an amazing life, or like they've achieved all this stuff, or they've got such an amazing body, pure, like really good skin. But we have the tools more because our brains are like fully developed, and like we're strong enough because we're older enough to say like, that is not my sexual preference, and I'm absolutely fine with that.
And that's it.
Highly dangerous when that's a young teenager.
And even I feel like in your 20s, probably, if I think about myself when I was, I don't know, 25, if somebody comes to talk about some kink that I may not be comfortable with it, I will feel like, oh, maybe I should like it or explore it, or maybe I'm doing something. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Even like probably 5-6 years ago, which is not a lot, and I was like into my 20s already, and I was like probably now like late 20s, now 31, probably I'm more like, I know what I like, and if I don't like it and I want to try it, that's my business, but I won't feel shame for it. I will be like, okay, I don't, if you do you, but like a few years ago probably will be. So imagine for like kids and like young people, and like,
but I actually think like, not to go into it too much, but definitely some of my girlfriends who are same age as me have experienced things in sex with a partner consensually that they've really not been okay with, and it's really difficult to say
like no,
or like I don't like that. And I think that's like, it's this kind of challenge, I think, where things are very, and weirdly like that, it's talked about on I Made a Story, to bring it back to like the intro, you know, these kind of nuances. I also think that there's, from another point of view of this, is that like I would love to hear what someone from the kink community thinks about this.
That would be amazing.
Because there's probably been people that have been practicing their kink, like to take that couple I referenced, for example, like, you know, maybe for years, or people that do it, you know, not to heal trauma, but they just have because a kink that works like really well. So it would be, and I think that's the thing, because where it's got really dark is that people are saying they're kind of like people on through this hashtag and everything are saying like, oh, it's okay to like let your boyfriend beat you up, you know, it's okay, and it's kind of blurring the lines between like I mean, that is just domestic violence at that point. It's not just a kink. And I would wonder how the kink community would feel about that, because it must be so frustrating to be like, oh, for God's sake, like, yet again, it's another misinterpretation of what kink is.
It's true.
It's not about violence. In fact, it can be very healing for people. So
that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, and I think that's like, it just, I can't, like, the thought of like a young teenage girl like allowing her boyfriend to like punch her because she thinks that it's boring not to, it makes me really want to cry. It's horrible, and like, you can't blame them for that, because we've all been there. Like, we know what it's like to be an insecure teenager, and it's just too much.
At the end, I feel like everything goes back to education. And if, since we are kids or we're in school, we have probably like a stronger sexual education thing, more updated, more open, more like everything's on the table, we won't have this. Since you are obviously, there's an age, you won't start talking about this at 5, probably they won't understand it. But when kids maybe are around like, I don't know, 11, 12, I don't know what's the age, but let's say 12, like education schools where they have to go like deeper, especially nowadays with social media, and they have to go like, okay, this is kinks, this, that, because if you put that in front of them since they're really young and they have the tools, when somebody comes at them with these ideas, it will be like, oh no, I read about this, it's cool, I know about this, no, not for me, and you know, that's a reality, and that's why education needs to change a lot, and it needs to keep up with the new generation, which I think it's not happening at all. I don't feel like it's really like definitely a big change.
Definitely not in the UK, because I think we're very backwards as a nation.
You know, I feel like school, they should talk about pornography.
Oh, 100%.
They should say like, this is something that it's real, that exists, and this is how you can view to that. That's entertainment, blah blah blah. This is for, you know, like, this type of things needs to be talked on schools, because
I mean, that should have been talked about when we were at school, because it's not a new thing.
I discovered that pornography thanks to like a friend from school, and I was like, okay, like, that's a lot. And he discovered this thanks to his dad, because his dad has some like VHS, not even like DVDs back in the day. Oof,
Dear God, Enzo, you are aging yourself.
Yeah, like from VHS to TikTok. That's like a big leap there. I'm sorry.
Kids on TikTok would be like, I don't know that word.
Like what?
Bitch, what?
I think this word in Spanish. He doesn't know what he's talking about. No, VHS. There was a form of like... You research for it. Probably you will like it. It's cool. It looks cool at least. Anyway, like, and he just discovered this out of his dad collection, like between his VHSs. It was like, oh, there's a woman naked and a man naked. They're having sex. And like, okay. And we're watching his house like hidden kind of thing. Like, oh my God, what is this? And I was like, I have a memory of it. Like, wow, okay.
How old were you?
I don't know what I don't think. I don't even remember clearly, because I was really young, probably not 12, 13, I don't remember. But I was like, okay. But it was unexpected. It was like, but I remember it was like in a jail kind of thing. So the man gonna get to the jail, and the woman, and he undressed the woman. I remember the fuck in the jail. Very aggressive and very So, you know, you should know this exists. Like, it's an issue with this, you know, at the end of the day, like, hopefully it will change, and hopefully, I mean, if we are parents one day, we need to be prepared for this, because I think there's a lot of things that we need to cover.
The chats that we'll have, those kids better run. The conversation, the cringy conversations I'm going to have.
We'll be like, we're going to face this, it's going to be, like, you listen to me, This is a vibrator!
Like, we're going to talk to Uncle Enzo about the gay experience. Again, I'll be like, no!
Like, you need to know! Ah! Anyway.
So yeah, that's it. God help our future kids.
Well, okay. It's a very interesting topic. Let's see what
Lord,
else comes.
How stressful, though.
TikTok is like a pool of stuff. Always something is happening, something is out. It's like, woof.
But you're so right about like the education needs to catch up because like parents have a certain responsibility. I know obviously we're in a very disastrous situation right now. Like schools are doing their best, teachers are doing their best. Like we're in a pandemic, so maybe it's not, you're like, please just like entertain yourself with something. Maybe I get it. Yeah. But like eventually, like, yeah, you're so right. Like it needs to be, they need to have a whole class about like social media and everything.
I feel like kids also, they're running too fast and parents can catch up to them.
But don't you think that's always been a thing? Don't you think like our grandparents said that about our parents? True. Or, like...
So basically, as a society, we're never being like
that's
really...
That's how we are.
It's true. We're never catching up at the time.
Oh, why? How? And that's the joke, isn't it? It's like when you'd be like, people my day. And it's like, but then you used to think about that and then you do that and we're doing that now. And it's
true.
It's funny like that.
Oh, Claire. Yeah. It's like, no. Like, I think I'm okay thinking I don't want kids. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can help with the education of yours. I'm going to be like, Uncle Enzo will have a chat today about whatever. I can do that.
Imagine if I get a really closed kid who's like doesn't want to talk about like emotions or like...
I will ignore him.
No, I'll just be like, please, what did I do? Please, I need you to talk about your feelings. My God.
How do you feel? And the kid's gonna be like, nothing. I'm fine. I'm totally fine, Mom. It's like, no, express. Like, Mom, really? I don't have nothing to express. You never know.
You never know.
Anyway,
like, please, little baby TikTokers, be nice to each other. And, don't everyone do. Yeah.
It's a lot.
But obviously, if there's anybody listening who is maybe like from the kink community or anything like that, or like wants to share any, we would love to hear, or direct message us on our Instagram.
Cool. Share with us something.
Yeah, if we missed anything, we always love to bring stuff up on the next episode. So, with that being said,
so what's coming?
I think it's time for Claire's secret topic of the week. Okay, well, this is definitely very different in tone. I just wanted to talk about
what, Claire? What?
What? Do your impression of the what do you say, like mate? What did that guy say to you and you and Rodrigo, like on the bike? What is it? Everyone's like, where is this going? What
do you say? Like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? It was very like, what the fuck, mate? In it.
Oh God.
Enzo's
impression of a British accent is so funny. What?
I like to say what?
So funny. What? Anyway, I wanted to talk about just a little quick chat about sustainable changes that we've both made and make, because every year I try to be a bit more sustainable. I always have a whole section in my yearly goals. I'm weird about that, to be more sustainable. If anybody listening to the podcast doesn't know, I'm actually vegan. I've been vegan for 5 years.
Wow, it's 5 years.
Yeah,
5 years this year.
I think 2021. 6 years, and I think it will be 6. It's either 5 or 6 years in December. I went.
Wow, that's
it was
a
like
lot.
the day after Christmas. So
really, you ate like a big piece of pork, and you were like, not anymore.
Literally, it was Christmas, and I had
I think we never talk about this.
No.
Like what was? I think around it, but not like why. Like
it was like a long
after Christmas.
Yeah, literally the day. It was Boxing Day.
Wow.
It was. I'd basically been. I was vegetarian for years, and then I'd been dabbling with veganism. I watched a documentary called Earthlings. Which is narrated by Joaquin Phoenix. I actually strongly would not recommend that to anybody unless you're extremely hard. I am not hard. I'm extremely sensitive, so
I cry for like a week.
So literally, I was like, but it's really, really graphic, and I mean, yeah.
But it helped you to make the final step. Let's say.
Actually, no. Okay. Surprisingly, I saw it and I was horrified. But I kind of I think because I was so young when I saw that, I was like 18, 19.
Yeah.
I tried to be vegan, but I didn't know anything about nutrition. I didn't know what to eat, so I was really hungry. And if you're hungry, you're going to crack, obviously.
It's a whole cycle.
I was eating mashed potato every meal.
That's why you hate stupid potatoes.
I would just
because
eat
you force it yourself.
Mashed potato with soy milk. Can you imagine? I was like, I didn't just. Also, everybody, I hate potatoes, so that's kind of the background to that. So it was just awful. So I cracked, and then I went back to eating like dairy, and then I watched the documentary called Cowspiracy, and that definitely made me want to switch more.
Yeah.
And then because that's more about veganism from an environmental point of view.
I heard it's really
good, and it's not scarring. It's not scarring. It's not like that kind of thing of like, because with like, obviously respect the work that they do, but sometimes with PETA and vegan charities, they just overdo it. They switch people off, and I found that's not the way to get people to listen to your message.
It's too extreme, and it's too like, you are bad, you are wrong, and that's not how people learn.
Exactly.
It has to be like from the other angle, for
like
sure.
Animals being like tortured and horrible, and it's just horrific. No one wants to see that.
It's not a way.
So Cowspiracy is more about stuff from the environment.
Yeah.
And then literally one day it was like it's Christmas, and the next day I was just literally like I'm vegan now. I'm just vegan.
Good.
I can't. I'm vegan.
And it's just like switch.
I never went back ever, and I've never. I mean, there's been some situations where, like, unfortunately, like I went to a restaurant and somebody put meat in my salad.
Yeah.
I cried, and then. No, really.
I want to laugh, but it's so funny.
I caused the biggest scene, and so can you imagine?
I would love to be there.
So it's like, obviously back in the day when you could go to restaurants, but it was in like Covent Garden with my friend Fran. Fran, if you're listening, you'll remember this. And I got a salad, and it didn't, like, it's kind of a fancy restaurant. It was just like the 3 ingredients listed in the salad. I was like, that would definitely be safe.
Yeah.
And the restaurant was quite dark as well. Like, we sat like in the bar and like da-da-da. And then I saw these little things on top of the salad, and I thought, they're just going to be onions. It's just going to be fried onions, obviously. And I ate it immediately. I was like, Fran, what is that? She's like, it's bacon, 100% it's bacon. And I don't think I cried at the restaurant, but I cried when I got back. I was like, I ate a pig.
I failed myself.
But truly, like, if that happens to anybody, don't like beat yourself up, because
it's a process.
It happens. But so
it's all connected, like the environment and like the sustainability with being vegan. Of course, it's super connected. It's part of it.
We can maybe break it down into kind of different areas of something that we would to kind of share our tips, because I definitely don't want this topic to be about like, everything's doom and gloom or shaming at all. Like, I think we've both been on this sounds so like Instagram wanky, but it's true. A sustainability journey. But we have like, so what, like,
I'm thinking what else, like,
exactly. So how about like personal care products?
Like personal care products, I start to care about this like more recently, actually. Okay. We're talking about it. Like I didn't really think that much about it, but for example, I'm getting a bit like concerned now about like toothpaste and like the amount of toothpaste that I think it was because I watched a documentary or something that they basically said that they never recycle the toothpaste tubes. They never, because it's basically impossible, even though it says, because it's important to remember. And I think this idea helps you to remember when you consume or you buy something. Like, the fact that it says it's recyclable doesn't mean it's going to be recycled. Yeah. It's a different thing. Like, it's made in a way that if somebody wants to recycle it, they will be able to, because they're plastic that are not able to be recycled. But that doesn't mean that will happen. Like toothpaste, they're never recycled, because it's really problematic to recycle, because it's all dirty inside, the material, blah, blah, blah.
It spends more money to actually recycle it.
Yeah, so personal care, I'm really thinking, what can I do to like change it a bit, or to like, for example, I'm starting to use like shampoo in a bar, like a bar shampoo, which I always thought it was very weird and odd. I was like, what the fuck? I don't think I will ever able to use that. But I tried, because I got one at home that they gave me as a sample once, like a year ago. And I was like, no, I don't think I will use this ever. And I started using it, and it's fine. You just rub it in your hand, and it's like foam, and you rub it in your hair. And actually, my hair is fine. It's nothing. And it's a really good brand. Actually, it's a really expensive brand. I think it's like £10 the soap, but it lasts a lot.
It does.
So the thing is, like, if it's about the money, because I understand it's not easy, because sometimes the sustainable things are more expensive, but things like that, like a bar like that, it lasts a lot.
And also, like, that's probably like a luxury one, because I think often shampoo bars and conditioner bars for your hair are often a bit cheaper than the actual one, because there's no packaging, because it comes in cardboard. I think that's a really, really good tip, like getting shampoo and conditioner bars, because it's in cardboard, no packaging, it lasts a really long time. I think also if there are any girls listening who, because I have curly hair, so I was extremely hesitant to use shampoo bars and conditioners because I thought like it's not going to work, but I got a shampoo conditioner recently. It's absolutely fine. So if you just have like straight hair, you know, like there are different bars for different hair types, so don't be put off by that.
As for like makeup and like skincare, what do you look for when you're trying, or at least try to when you're buying for a brand?
So I have to admit that I think with personal care products, like for my body, I think I'm definitely quite zero waste. Like I have a reusable razor, a safety razor. That's actually a really good tip. You know, you do, because I was like cringing at myself at how many like plastic razors I was throwing away.
And that's not recyclable.
It's not at all. So I have a safety razor. So you just change the blade. It's like an old-fashioned razor that you know, like your grandparents would have, granddads would have. And then I have like I use Dr. Bronner, which is a brand that I absolutely love. Like I recommend that to everybody, and it's in plastic that's already been recycled, and it will be recycled again. That's a very, very good brand, and it is multi-purpose. So to answer your question, like I love multi-purpose products, so that I can use on my body, on my face. You can use it to like wash your dog. If you have a dog, you can use it to clean your bar.
Because in one bottle, you can get a lot of things. You don't need to have 10 types of bottles for 10 different things. It's a really useful thing.
And I think really like bear that in mind. Like these companies don't care about you. They just want money. Like soap is soap. It's all just going to clean you. Like you don't need to have a bazillion different products for different things. But where I have to be honest and say like, you know, like I love skincare and I do have a lot of packaging that's not great. To try and kind of compromise, obviously I only ever buy cruelty-free and vegan products, that goes without saying, but in terms of packaging, glass is a really good option.
Because at least glass.
Because it can be recycled.
It's not like a lot of contamination, a lot of glass at the end of the day.
So glass, and then, that's kind of, that makes me feel a bit better with skincare, and often like serums and moisturizer and everything, it can be in glass.
It's good.
So that's kind of hygiene. What about moving into like kitchen, homeware, food, that sort of stuff?
I think it was probably my biggest change. I did like, I really tried to avoid like vegetables on plastic bags. Like I really avoid, and if it's not out of a plastic bag, I don't buy it. Like I just don't buy it, and I will find it somewhere else. Good. And it's actually not that difficult right now. Of course, we're talking from in UK. This is reality. Probably other countries are different. It may change, but in the UK, it's actually easy to get vegetables without a plastic bag. It's just like we're used to the fast that you grab something and you go, which is such a really bad type of way of see things. Like, oh yeah, quick, and that's why maybe it gets sometimes a bit difficult. But yeah, it's easy to get your vegetables without the plastic bags, and like I really avoid that. And there's like like options like the boxes we're getting, like Autobots, which is a company basically you can get like, it's a subscription box. Which rescue like vegetables and like fruits and all of that they will be like disposed or waste or whatever, and it's a really good quality, and it comes with no plastic. I mean, some things like lettuce, it comes with a plastic because it's almost impossible to preserve because it's really delicate, but it's just one thing.
It's an amazing company. They like rescue fruits and veggies that haven't quite like made it, because supermarkets have these ridiculous guidelines like that rules or the fruit and veggies need to be in a certain shape, so you do get some kind of funky looking
which is funny,
sweet potatoes and stuff, but it's like the quality, like Enzo says, really amazing.
It's really, really good.
But they would normally just throw that away, that produce, which is horrible.
It's horrible.
But so they've come up with this idea of popping everything in a box, and it's actually not that much more expensive, really, if you have a very like vegetable heavy diet, you know.
Talking about food, I tried once to buy with this company called Able and Cole, I think it is. It's actually really cool because I bought a few different things, and when they deliver this on a cardboard box, blah blah blah, carton, and they say outside that it's all to be made to be recyclable by them. So you leave all of this package outside your door when the next delivery comes, and the delivery guy takes everything, and so they reuse it. So actually, I think they cracked the code of like, oh, it's recyclable, let's put in the recyclable thing, and then God knows if it will get actually recycled by the government, whoever does it. They actually take care of it. So they ask you like, you leave this on front of your door and we will take it back and we will use it. So they're in charge of their own recycling.
Amazing.
And it's like a really good idea because, there's like no waste there because they know it's their own stuff. Everything's created and designed to be recycled by them. And the next delivery, you're going to get a box of what's recycled for somebody else that used it before. It's like a really good idea. So this type of brands are like a good change.
Are they fruit and veg, like a fruit and veg kind of that kind of thing?
But also they sell everything there, like food, also like kitchen, like there's a bit like a little market.
Interesting.
But yeah, if you don't want to invest like in a subscription or anything like that, you can just buy it in your supermarket.
Exactly.
In the market.
There are ways. Like I was in like Waitrose today, and like there's like broccoli in a plastic bag, or there's loose broccoli. Like it's just about that. Like carrots, there are loose carrots, all those carrots in a bag. Ideally, like we'll get to that point where, I mean, obviously another tip that kind of goes without saying, but maybe it doesn't, is always bringing your calico canvas bags with you and not having to buy like a plastic bag.
Why I don't understand why we're still using like plastic bags. It's just absurd. Don't know, like, but everybody should have a recyclable bag. It's not like, and it costs nothing. You can find them for less than £1.
Exactly. And that's the thing, I think that's surprising because the plastic bag thing is kind of the thing that really made everybody aware of the plastic problem, because we would see those images of like that's not a new thing, and it's sort of like, why are we still, I mean, again, I feel in the UK we're extremely slow and behind the times, but they charge like 10p or something for a plastic bag, and nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. So in that kind of thing, I think finally kind of one thing I do want to touch on is fashion. So fast fashion is something that we did have another episode on this, but fast fashion is a big problem for the environment, like really terrible. So were there any tips that you have on
I think obviously like a typical one is secondhand, but if you're not into that because you feel like you don't want to use something that somebody used before, at least I think it's good to invest to something that's a bit better quality, because it's tempting to go to Primark and get 10 t-shirts for £10. But then those t-shirts, they will last like a week each. So at the end, it's going to be like less than a year. You're going to replace all of them. And the problem is that fabric, if you throw it away, that won't get recycled. That will just go to the landfill, which is a problem. They just through all these clothes that are disposed and they just burn it, or there's just like waste. And the numbers about this is crazy. So I think it's like, I understand sometimes not everybody has the resources to like invest in something better. But at the end of the day, if it's about this, it's like the whole thing. We always think like more is better. So we need to have 10,000 of different things. Doesn't matter if they last one day, but it's good sometimes to reduce it a bit. I think it's a compromise. Like let me have 5 things instead of 10, but there's 5 things that will have double price. So there will be a bit more quality, it will last longer.
Also, I think a good tip is, recently I had to buy some more like underwear, some basic pants, knickers. And I thought rather, like my go-to, I'm going to be really honest, would be H&M. I would just buy like a multi-pack from H&M.
Which is nothing,
But I thought, I basically bought some bamboo underwear from I think it's called Bamboo, the company. And, bamboo really soft, it's really soft. I absolutely love
bamboo stuff is really soft.
I know.
It's crazy,
I have some bamboo pants. I have a bamboo bralette, and I absolutely love it. And bamboo is an incredibly sustainable fabric because it grows really quickly. So there's enough, in the environment for like animals to eat it, and also it regrows really quickly. So that's kind of something to be mindful of.
We need to think it's because of the planet. It's like we need to remember that we're part of the earth.
I agree.
We need to stop forgetting we're a part of it.
You're right, and
which
I think
is a problem.
It's really difficult when you live in a city, like especially a city like London. Yeah. But I think this is the case for a lot of major cities. You don't feel connected to nature. You forget that you're part of nature, and we're very, very separate.
Everything you do has a consequence at the end.
But you're not living in a bubble. You're still part of it, but you don't feel that. So I think to wrap this up, I want us to both kind of share an area of our life where we think we could improve on in sustainability, because I don't want it to seem that we are at all perfect and we've got it all figured out. Like it's definitely a journey.
A journey, like
hashtag Instagram, hashtag sustainability journey. So no, I don't want it to seem like that. So
at all.
I think both of us. So what's one area for sustainability that you think you could improve on, Enzo?
I think definitely like personal care and like cleaning products, that type of things. I would really like improve a bit of that, because it's too much. I feel now I'm starting to see like too much plastic and waste. That would be like probably my goal for this year.
Yeah.
Try to find ways to make it a bit better. Internet is full of information. So if you type blah 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 blah, how can I do it? You will find a lot of results. Exactly. So it's not like an excuse.
That's true.
What about you? What do you think will be like your?
I think I could do better with fashion. If I'm honest, I think I try really hard, but I'm really addicted to not really addicted, but
it's difficult.
I do shop on ASOS. Like sometimes I do want like a quick fix of something or like a fast fashion piece. Like I'm going to be brutally honest. Like I try to make good choices. Like I bought my Bamboo pants, for example. Like I bought some pieces from like Lucy and Yak, but like which is a sustainable British brand. But
I will charge you every single time I see you have something new from ASOS. Will be like, Claire, give me £10. This is a punishment. Oh, but I mean, in your case, at least you know it's about balance at the end, and you are doing all the little stuff. You are doing it well. Like you're vegan. You're trying this with your personal care. So like. It's difficult to be perfect, but at least try it in one area, and at least you have an array of a few habits that are really like good.
I hope so. Little by little, small steps. You're right. It's hard not to get overwhelmed. It is
very overwhelming.
I think it's just like what you said before of just try small things,
because it feels like an attack in a way, But at the end, it's because as humans we feel like we're doing something wrong. It's like you get like defensive. It's like we're always doing things wrong. That's why.
Exactly.
When we're living now, there's so many issues as well because we're doing things wrong. But the thing is, we could change them. So it's not about a personal attack. It's about like trying to.
I think also like it doesn't. It's not about like attacking. And I think also it's about like you don't have to suffer. You don't have to have like a miserable like I can never have what I want to eat. I can never drink what I want to have this miserable life where I can't buy anything. No, it's not about that at all. It's about small things, and you can still like really enjoy your life. It's okay.
Well, I think we're gonna go back to this topic a few more times in the future because it has too many. It has like big.
So many
legs.
Legs. But I think that's pretty much everything. If you have any comments, as always, please do leave us a comment. Also, if you've got any questions about anything that we talked about, if you have any questions about veganism, please do send a message on our Instagram or
cool. Remember to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts because you get a notification. You won't get a notification, but when you open your app, it will say like we got a new episode kind of thing. So remember to do that because you will be like. Anyway, every single week probably we will have an episode unless something happens. But we are there for you every week.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much.
Claire, remember our audience what to do.
Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Comment again and keep us up on the algorithm. Comment again, share.
Thank you guys. See you next week.
Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Bye.